আসসালামু আলাইকুম এবং ভেরি গুড ইভিনিং। যুক্তরাজ্য সহ পৃথিবীর যে যেখানে বসে এনটিভি ইউরোপের বিশেষ অনুষ্ঠান লাইফ ইন ব্রিটেন দেখছেন, আপনাদের সবাইকে শুভেচ্ছা সহ স্বাগতম। আপনাদের সবাইকে সালাম। আশা করি আপনারা ভালো আছেন, সুস্থ আছেন। আপনারা জানেন, যারা রেগুলারলি লাইফ ইন ব্রিটেন অনুষ্ঠানটা ফলো করেন, এই অনুষ্ঠানের মাধ্যমে আমরা সবসময় চেষ্টা করি দুইটা ডাইমেনশনে কথা বলার জন্য। এক, এমন সব ইম্পর্টেন্ট টপিকে কথা বলতে যা কিনা আপনারা যারা ব্রিটেনে আছেন আপনাদের জীবনযাপনে এভরি নাও অ্যান্ড দেন ওই ইম্পর্টেন্ট টপিকগুলো আপনাদের জীবনে একটা প্রভাব ফেলে, যেন আপনারা ফ্যাক্টস অ্যান্ড ফিগার ইনফরমেশন জেনে ওইসব ব্যাপারগুলোতে আপনারা সচেতন হতে পারেন। অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম আমরা কিন্তু প্র্যাকটিক্যাল বিভিন্ন আসপেক্ট নিয়ে কথা বলি, বিভিন্ন ট্রেনিং, বিভিন্ন শিক্ষামূলক ব্যাপারগুলো নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলি, যেন আপনারা ওইসব ইনফরমেশনগুলো জেনে আপনারা আপনাদের পারিবারিক জীবনে, সামাজিক জীবনে, অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম আপনাদের কর্মক্ষেত্রে আপনারা যেন ভালো করতে পারেন। তো আজকে আমাদের টপিক হচ্ছে, আপনারা জানেন অক্টোবর মাসে কিন্তু যুক্তরাজ্যে এবং পৃথিবীর ডেভেলপ কান্ট্রিগুলোতে ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ সেলিব্রেট করা হয়। তো আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন দ্য 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন, এই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে আমরা কথা বলবো। আপনারা জানেন যে ব্রিটেনে কিন্তু এথনিক মাইনরিটি যারা, তারা কিন্তু দে হ্যাভ অ্যাচিভড এ লট। ব্রিটেন ইন টার্মস অফ সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ব্রিটেনে কিন্তু অনেক প্রগ্রেস হয়েছে। হাউএভার দেয়ার আর মাচ মোর ওয়ার্ক নিডস টু বি ডান। তো আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন, এই পার্টিকুলার টপিক। এবং এই টপিকে কথা বলার জন্য আমাদের সাথে এনটিভি ইউরোপের লন্ডন স্টুডিওতে সশরীরে উপস্থিত আছেন জনাব আব্দুল হক হাবিব। উনি সম্মানিত ম্যানেজিং ডিরেক্টর, লন্ডন ট্রেনিং সেন্টার। জনাব আব্দুল হক হাবিব ভাই, আপনাকে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ আজকে আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য।
It's a pleasure. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum দর্শক বন্ধু, আপনার শুভ।
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। হাবিব ভাই, ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন, এই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে আজকে আমরা কথা বলবো। হাবিব ভাই, আমরা কিন্তু টু অফটেন যখনই ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ কথাটা চলে আসে, সবাই কিন্তু ভাবে যে এটাতে আমাদের ভাই ব্রাদার যারা আছে আফ্রিকা থেকে, তাদের সাথে এটা কিভাবে রিলেট। অবভিয়াসলি উই আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড, উই অ্যাকনোলেজ এন্ড উই অ্যাপ্রিশিয়েট, বাট অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম এটা কিন্তু যারা ব্ল্যাক এশিয়ান মাইনরিটি এথনিক, তাদেরও কিন্তু একটা বড় ধরনের যোগ সুযোগ আছে, নাম্বার ওয়ান। অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম আমরা যদি দেখি ইউরোপের হিস্ট্রি, সেখানে কিন্তু মুসলমানদের একটা বড় ধরনের কন্ট্রিবিউশন আছে। তো হাবিব ভাই, আমরা অবভিয়াসলি ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থের টিচিং নিয়ে, ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থের বিভিন্ন ইম্পর্টেন্ট আসপেক্ট নিয়ে কথা বলবো। আপনি যদি পার্টিকুলারলি আমাদের দর্শকদের উদ্দেশ্যে বলতেন যে এই যে মুসলমানদের ইউরোপে আগমন এবং এতে ইউরোপের যে সিভিলাইজেশনের ডেভেলপমেন্টের ক্ষেত্রে এটার প্রভাবটা কি, আপনি যদি আমার এবং আমার দর্শকদের উদ্দেশ্যে একটু বলতেন।
Yes, sure. Okay, Aznaba, thank you very much, and thank you to NTV.
Thank you.
And দর্শক বৃন্দ, আপনারা সবাই thank you and salam once again. আপনারা যে যেখানে আছেন আশা করি ভালো আছেন। আজকে যে টপিক ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ,
জি,
and I want to start from the word history, ইতিহাস। আসলে ইতিহাস এমন একটা শব্দ, এমন একটা জিনিস, very very important for us to know, to understand, to be aware, and to learn from, so that we can be a very very well informed person, so that we can change lives now and change things for the future as well.
Absolutely.
So that is why understanding of history is extremely important.
Absolutely.
So this Black History Month, I think, had started long time ago.
Ji.
I'm sure we'll know more about it from our guest,
Ji.
who is on his way,
Ji.
who will be joining us. I think Reverend Kenneth, he will be talking more about that. But to my humble understanding, it had started back in America long time ago. Then in Britain, you know, it's been formally accepted and started the campaign back in 1987, around that time. Now, especially after Brexit, it has become a very very strong movement.
Absolutely.
And what we have seen over the last few months, especially Black Lives Matter, under that campaign, the campaign has become very very strong, you know, very very peacefully though. You know, there is no violence, no issues. The black community has united for their right, basically. And I think we have a very important lesson to learn from there. We as a community, we need to be united. as a Bangladeshi community, British Bangladeshi community, as a Muslim community, we need to be united as well, because the more united we are, the better campaign we can form, and the government and other people will listen to us. If we are not united, and if we are not campaigning against racism, against Islamophobia, against discrimination, then we will be kicked out. You know, so being silent is not an option anymore, and especially after the Brexit. You know, England is no longer, in some cases, not called England, it is called Brexit land. Yes? After Brexit, the Britain, the United Kingdom has been divided. You see, one pro-immigration and pro-unity, and the other one is against unity, against immigrants, against black people, against Muslims. So this is a very unfortunate thing. But because of that situation, we cannot just sit back and moaning about it. We need to be proactive, get engaged positively, and work with the mainstream communities so that we can fight back the extreme right-wing, white supremacist people, racist people, you know, who have an agenda to do bad things for the ethnic minority. So this is our chance, our moment to form that movement as well. Coming back to the history, we want to go back quite back. 711 AD, 711 শতাব্দী, তখন মানে if we just to put it in context, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam died 632. And after 80 years, the North African people, under the leadership of Tariq ibn Zayed, he, under his leadership, his army came across a mountain now which is called Gibraltar. The Gibraltar is named under his name, Jabal at-Tariq, which is called Gibraltar. Through that mountain, they came and invaded Andalus back in 711. So if you think about it, sometimes we think black history. So they came from North Africa. Yes, their faith was Islam, but they were black African people. Yes, came, invaded positively, you know. So we think that black people came here through just slave trade, which is incorrect. They came here in the Europe as victorious, as you know, as a very educated, you know, very knowledgeable. That's right. That thriving community came from North Africa in Spain when 711, and they came with what? They did not come here as beggars, as low class. They came here as a nation of victories, you know, a nation who were equipped with knowledge.
Absolutely.
And they were
to enrich Europe.
Absolutely. And they were equipped and came here with a vision and mission to enlighten Europe when Europe was in darkness, basically, in terms of knowledge, in terms of philosophy, art, culture, everything. So they came here and they ruled Europe in terms of Spain and Portugal 800 years. Until 15th century they ruled Spain. The Moors they call they call the Moors. So this history is a very, very rich history. Andalus, now another city there, Cordoba. Cordoba at that time, because of these North African people, and they were inspired by Islam and Muslims, the education, the, you know,
science,
everything. So the inspiration came from Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and under Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and their leadership, you see, because they were inspired by Islamic ideology. And that Islamic ideology was about knowledge, was about science, was about technology, was about philosophy, and all those good things to make this world a better place to live. So because of that ideology, is it to enlighten the world, they came here and they established, and then we know now, where did chemist come from? We know from alchemy. Alchemy is the person, from him the name chemist came from. Where algebra came from? Al-Jabur, Yes, then
এগুলো তো মানে সায়েন্সের মানে ফাউন্ডেশন
foundation of science, then algorithm, yes, and then we call it a word we call alkaline. You see, many of those things started from there. So the North African people enlightened the whole Europe. Cordova, they had 17 first-class universities, where here we had nothing. They had streets after streets, street lights. At that time, we had no light here at all. You see, they had 900 public baths back in 800 AD. We had nothing here in London. You see, so that is the light North African people brought to Spain. And then, of course, the Spain, the Cordova, and then we know the Alhambra, the palace, Alhambra. You see, this is one of the, UNESCO. UNESCO is one of the heritage, national heritage, you see, is secured under that, UNESCO Alhambra. Such a beautiful place, built when? 900 AD. So if you think about this history, it's so great history in Europe, you see, and then of course moved on to now, if you think the enlightened Europe, it started from there, you see. Now in the 21st century, if we see that some people look at black people as slaves, lower class, look at Muslims as lower class, backward, it's only because of lack of knowledge, only because they don't understand the history. Where did the knowledge come from? Where did the diversity come from? Where did that advance, the knowledge came from? So that lack of knowledge is the core of all this racism, discrimination,
ignorance.
That is, it is vital that the government take proactive role, you see, and a good government should take proactive role to introduce education through curriculum, syllabus in the primary school, secondary school, colleges, so that people are in this diverse community are taught the right history, so that together we can build a beautiful Britain for the good of this country and for good of the world.
Thank
as
you.
well.
Habib bhai, obviously governmented certain responsibility আছে to inform the right history with facts and figure.
Yes.
আমাদেরও কিন্তু দায়িত্ব আছে।
Of course.
আমরা as a ethnic minority, আমাদেরও কিন্তু we must play a very constructive, efficient role in this country, not just in this country, all across the world. আমরা কি সেই দায়িত্বগুলো পালন করি? আপনি কি মনে করেন হাবিব ভাই? আমাদের কি সেখানে ল্যাকিংস আছে? যেই নর্থ আমেরিকা থেকে ইমিগ্রেন্টরা এসে পুরো ইউরোপ এনরিচ করেছে, আজকে তাদের পজিশনটা কোথায় ইন টার্মস অফ প্রোগ্রেস? তারা কি সেই ধরনের প্রোগ্রেস মেড করতে পেরেছে? আপনি কি মনে করেন?
To a certain extent, I would say no, we are failing to learn from those role models, learn from those good practices, good people. Sometimes we just be proud of our past. Amar dada omuk chilo, amar bap omuk chilo, ba amar Musalmanra omuk chilo. Now we are very proud, yes, rightly so, but what am I doing? This is the big question. You see, and to a certain extent, I think we are not doing enough. How many scientists do we have currently? How many do we have? How many big artists do you have? How many big successful businessmen do we have in Europe, in this country? You see, how many big influencers we have? How many footballers do we have? How many, so if you think about those sectors, the people who influence the community, the country, absolutely, how many can we count in the UK, in Europe now? So if you compare the past with present, then past is there, our history, and at present we are here. So you're absolutely right that we have many responsibilities to do, but of course we living in the UK, the government should acknowledge the gap, and they should
Thank you.
come forward and help the communities
Thank you.
to strengthen, to empower,
Absolutely.
and so that together we can go forward.
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ হাবিব ভাই। সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, আজকে লাইফ ইন ব্রিটেন অনুষ্ঠানে আমরা কথা বলছি ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন, এই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে। আপনারা জানেন অক্টোবর মাসে শুধু যুক্তরাজ্যে না, ইউরোপে, আমেরিকাতে এবং পৃথিবীর উন্নত দেশগুলোতে, ইনফ্যাক্ট এশিয়াতেও অনেক জায়গায় কিন্তু, সারা পৃথিবীর বিভিন্ন জায়গায় কিন্তু আপনার ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ সেলিব্রেট করা হয়। ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থের সেলিব্রেশনের মূল থিমটা কি? যে অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েট করা দ্য কন্ট্রিবিউশন অফ এথনিক মাইনরিটি, হিস্ট্রিটা জানা, এবং অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম what we can learn for near future, we collectively what we can do for the future, এই সব ব্যাপারগুলো নিয়ে কিন্তু আলাপ আলোচনা হয়, বিভিন্ন ইভেন্ট হয়, সভা সেমিনার হয়। এবং হাবিব ভাই আমাদের সাথে আজকে জয়েন করেছে, জনাব আব্দুল হক হাবিব, উনি সম্মানিত ম্যানেজিং ডিরেক্টর লন্ডন ট্রেনিং সেন্টারের। উনি কিন্তু আগের সেগমেন্টে বলছিল যে ব্রেক্সিট ব্রিটেন ইজ মোর ডিভাইডেড দেন এনি টাইম বিফোর, পলিটিক্যালি যে পোলারাইজেশন, we can see this more often, more frequently than any time before. Also the same time, in terms of immigration, in terms of Islamophobia, racism, এগুলো কিন্তু anti-Semitism, এগুলো কিন্তু আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি দিন দিন বেড়েই যাচ্ছে। এটা নট নেসেসারিলি যারা রিমেনের পক্ষে ভোট দিয়েছে বা যারা ব্রেক্সিটের পক্ষে ভোট দিয়েছে তারা, ওভারঅল আমরা যে ওয়ার্ল্ডে বসবাস করি, শুধু ইউকেতে না, আমরা যদি আমেরিকার কথা দেখি, আমেরিকাতেও কিন্তু সেম সিচুয়েশন, ইউরোপের অনেক জায়গায় কিন্তু আমরা সেম সিচুয়েশনটা দেখতে পাই। ব্রিটেনে তো তারপরেও অনেক ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কিন্তু আমাদের কনসার্নগুলো, আমাদের ইস্যুগুলো আমরা কিন্তু রেজ করতে পারি। অনেক এমপি আছে আমাদের, অনেক লোকাল রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ আছে, বিভিন্ন চ্যানেল আছে। হাউএভার অনেক জায়গায় কিন্তু আছে যে আপনার লেজিটিমেট কনসার্নটাও কিন্তু অনেক সময় রেজ করা যায় না। তো আজকে আমরা কথা বলছি ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন। অবভিয়াসলি 1 ঘন্টায় এত বড় টপিক কভার করা ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট। হাউএভার ফ্রম আওয়ার হাম্বল নলেজ we are trying to share our opinion, we are trying to have a conversation so that we all can do our part, we all can do our responsibility, and we can progress together. We can perform our responsibility as a responsible, sensible, conscious resident and citizen of Britain, and also the same time simultaneously as a global citizen. হাবিব ভাই, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ ওয়ান্স এগেন। হাবিব ভাই, আপনি খুব সুন্দর করে হিস্ট্রির কথা বলছিলেন এবং আপনি বলছিলেন যে যখন ব্রিটেনে প্রথম ইমিগ্রেন্টরা এসেছিল, মুসলমানরা প্রথমে এসেছিল নর্থ আফ্রিকা থেকে, তারা এই কন্টিনেন্টকে কিভাবে এনরিচ করেছে থ্রু কালচার, থ্রু আর্ট, থ্রু সায়েন্সেস অ্যান্ড ভায়া ভেরিয়াস মিনস। এবং আপনি অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম হাইলাইট করেছিলেন ওই সময়ের সাথে যদি আমরা বর্তমানে চিন্তা করি আমরা অনেক পিছিয়ে আছি। এবং আপনি বলছিলেন যে গভর্নমেন্টের যে রেসপন্সিবিলিটির কথা। হ্যাঁ ভাই, গভর্নমেন্টের সাথে কিন্তু এস্টাবলিশমেন্টের যে বিভিন্ন অংশ, মোস্ট ইম্পর্টেন্টলি আই থিঙ্ক মিডিয়া ক্যান অলসো প্লে এ ভেরি ভেরি কনস্ট্রাকটিভ রোল। আমরা কিন্তু দেখছি যে করোনা ভাইরাস প্যান্ডেমিকে এথনিক মাইনরিটিরা তারা ডিসপ্রপোর্শনেটলি এফেক্টেড, particularly people those who are from South Asia, people those who are from Africa. We have seen from the statistics, this is established fact now. তাহলে এই যে জিনিসগুলো হচ্ছে হাবিব ভাই, এটা কিন্তু what does it conclude? এটা কিন্তু কনক্লুড করে যে আন্ডারলাইনিং প্রবলেমগুলো আমরা মিডিয়াতে কিন্তু পত্রপত্রিকা খুললে দেখি, যখন একটা মুসলমান বা একটা ইমিগ্রেন্ট এথনিক মাইনরিটির কেউ কোনো কিছু করে, এটাকে যেভাবে হাইলাইট করা হয়, তাদের ভালো কাজগুলো কিন্তু ওইভাবে অনেক সময় হাইলাইট করা হয় না। আমরা তখনই শুনতে পাই যে মুসলমান 2 ব্রাদার পুরো আজদা কিনে ফেলেছে, তখন আমরা শুনতে পাই কিন্তু যে তাদের নামের আশেপাশে মুসলমান নামটা, এই জন্য কিন্তু আমরা দেখতে পাই যে ইমিগ্রেন্ট they didn't come to this country that long ago, but now they are very successful. আমরা শুধু সাকসেস, বড় বড় সাকসেস স্টোরিটা শুনতে পাই,
but some people are already against them.
Absolutely. হাবিব ভাই, আপনি কি মনে করেন গভর্নমেন্টের পাশাপাশি এই যে বড় বড় এস্টাবলিশমেন্ট যারা, তাদের what sort of role they should play? And আমরা যেসব ইনসিডেন্টগুলো দেখতে পাচ্ছি, আপনি you have very successfully, very eloquently you have already highlighted few point. আমরা এই যে ডিসক্রিমিনেশনগুলো, ইনস্টিটিউশনাল রেসিজম যেগুলো দেখতে পাই, হাবিব ভাই, how all those can be tackled?
It's a very good question, but at the same time it's a very broad question as well. But in terms of systematic racism, and then organizational discrimination and equalities and these kind of issues. If we look into those issues, sometime I give an example. If you see a person, skinhead, looking rough and tough, you know, and then saying something bad to you, you see, then you can just keep away from that person, keep yourself safe, yes, from attack and things like this. Because you can see that person is being racist, hating you, trying to do something bad to you. Yes? On the other hand, you will see a person, white shirt and a very nice tie, you know, very nicely sitting in a very good position, okay, with quite a lot of power within, I don't know, in a big company or somewhere, very strategic position. And if that person in mind, if that person is racist and discriminating other people, so if you compare these two, other person is more dangerous than the person who you can see being racist. In other words, you know, the organizational discrimination,
institutional racism,
institutional discrimination, racism is very, very strong, unfortunately. And if we look back, especially in the 1960s and 70s, we hear this from our fathers and our mothers, you know, they, day and night, you see, they suffered from racism at that time, direct racism. Black people, আমরা জানি তখন অনেকরে ইদেশও কোনো রেস্টুরেন্টে যাইতে দেওয়া হইতো না, কোনো আপনার ইভেন্টও যাইতে দেওয়া হইতো না because of their skin color. You see, even in 1960s, so the discrimination, racism was very, very high in 1960s, 70s, yes. But after that, quite a lot of credit goes to Labour government, good Labour government, because of their policies, procedures, and strategic direction. You see, they made this country a much better place to live and work because of those strategic directions and leadership from good leaders, especially from the Labour Party. So thanks to them, credits to them. But what's happening now, especially after Brexit, well, it started from before Brexit. Obviously, people are just talking anti-immigration, etc., etc. And remember, Theresa May, she created that hostile environment for immigration. Remember, hostile environment was created by Theresa May when she was Home Secretary. And very unfortunately, that torch is being carried now even more vigorously by Priti Patel, who is terrorizing immigrants in various different ways, very unfortunately. So, unfortunately, because of their ideological reasons, you see, they are doing things anti-immigration, saying things, and even Boris Johnson said about burqa and other things against Muslims. So when the leaders say things in public against black people, against Muslims, against ethnic minority, then the racist people, they listen to them, and then what they do, they take action against those people, either officially, systematic way, or in the streets by fighting or by attacking other people. Or some right-wing newspapers, they instigate by highlighting little issues in a big way, so that that hatred can be even, you know, increase, and population can support them. You see, so that hate environment is not good for this country, not good for us, not as a nation. This is not something that we want. So the way to tackle that is basically, of course, the government has to take the right action. The institutions, they have to be more diverse. So they have to put black people, Muslim people at the right positions so that they can make strategic decisions, as well as all the politicians, you see, they have to work together and campaign. There are some very, very good politicians in the Black History Month. I want to say Diane Abbott, for example, from Labour Party, an excellent, David Lammy, an excellent campaigner. You see, the campaigning on behalf of ethnic minority people in this country. We need good politicians like them who can talk on our behalf, you see, fight for us, for our right, so that ultimately we can, with the mainstream people, work together to, because we are all British, we love this country. So we want to feel welcome, and we want to be in the right positions so that we can do better things for the betterment of this country.
Absolutely.
And for that we need good, proactive, positive, effective leadership from politics, from educational institutions, from third sector institutions, from civil society,
Absolutely.
from academic angle, from journalists.
Absolutely.
You see, so it is
collective responsibility.
collective responsibility for all of us to see where we are living now. The context is the rise of Islamophobia is very, very high, rise of racism is very high, anti-Semitism is very high. So in a context like this, and Brexit and COVID-19 obviously making things worse. So we have to come together being aware, and wherever you are, whatever position you have, do something, make positive contributions, talk about it, and make a positive change, so that at the end we can live together in a peaceful, harmonious way,
society.
in a cohesive society.
Thank you.
Where everyone is equal.
Thank you. হাবিব ভাই, আপনার একটা কাউন্টার আর্গুমেন্ট কিন্তু থাকতে পারে যে আমরা অফকোর্স সকল রাজনৈতিক দলেরই কিন্তু অবদান আছে, লেবার পার্টির অবদান আছে, কনজারভেটিভ পার্টিরও অবদান আছে, আপনার লিভ ডেমেরও অবদান আছে, এসএনপি, প্রত্যেকটা রাজনৈতিক দলেরই অবদান আছে ওয়ার উই আর রাইট নাও। আপনি এই যে ইন টার্মস অফ আমরা লেবার পার্টিতে যেরকম দেখি যে মুসলমান বা এথনিক মাইনরিটি থেকে, আমরা কিন্তু কনজারভেটিভ পার্টি অন্যান্য রাজনৈতিক দলগুলোতেও দেখি।
Just to give you one example, conservative party,
Sajid Javed, the top position holder, Saida Warsi. তাহলে আপনি সেটা কি বলবেন?
Good role model is Saida Warsi. Sajid Javed was a minister, but I would not say he was a role model. Role model, I can say Saida Warsi, because she speaks the truth. She speaks against the powerful people who discriminate against other people. So we need politicians, powerful politicians. Some of our politicians are just there for the badge of honor, as the MP or whatever. We do not need those kind of MPs. We do not need those kind of politicians. We need politicians who has the sincerity and the knowledge and the know-how, how to talk on our behalf at the right platform, at the top level. And we need politicians, we need to support them, and they need to work for us, you see.
Absolutely.
And I think to me, to my understanding, there is a huge gap, especially in our communities, that we have politicians, but we don't have strong campaigners like David Lammy, Diane Abbott, and many other black politicians that they have in their communities.
Absolutely. Habib bhai, thank you for that. আমরা যদি দেখি, আপনি লেবার পার্টির কথা বলছিলেন এবং আপনি বেশ কিছু ইম্পর্টেন্ট ইনফ্লুয়েন্সিয়াল পলিটিশিয়ানদের কথা উল্লেখ করেছেন। অবভিয়াসলি দে হ্যাভ ডান এ লট। আজকে আমরা কথা বলছি ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন, এই পার্টিকুলার টপিকে। এবং এই টপিকে কথা বলার জন্য আমাদের সাথে আজকে উপস্থিত আছেন আমার হাতের ডান পাশে লন্ডন ট্রেনিং সেন্টারের সম্মানিত ম্যানেজিং ডিরেক্টর জনাব আব্দুল হক হাবিব। হাবিব ভাই, আপনাকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ আজকে আমাদের সাথে জয়েন করার জন্য। হাবিব ভাই, আগের সেগমেন্টে আমরা কথা বলছিলাম যে আপনি বলছিলেন যে এই ব্রিটেনে প্রত্যেকটা রাজনৈতিক দলের একটা অবদান আছে টু ব্রিং দ্য কমিউনিটিস টুগেদার, অ্যান্ড অলসো দ্য সেম টাইম আপনার ইনস্টিটিউশন যেগুলো আছে, পাওয়ারফুল ইনস্টিটিউশন, দে অলসো নিড টু প্লে এ ভেরি ভেরি পিভটাল রোল। হাবিব ভাই, আমরা কিন্তু ওই যে একটা কাউন্টার আর্গুমেন্ট যেটা বলছিলাম আগের সেগমেন্টে, আমরা যদি দেখি প্রত্যেকটা রাজনৈতিক দলেই কিন্তু এথনিক মাইনরিটিরা অনেক ইম্পর্টেন্ট পোস্টে আছে। বাট আপনি কি মনে করেন এই যে এথনিক মাইনরিটির যে বড় বড় প্রবলেমগুলো, ইভেন ডিউরিং করোনা ভাইরাস প্যান্ডেমিক, we can see how ethnic minorities, not just in terms of fatality or mortality rate, also the same time business wise, সকল ক্ষেত্রে কিন্তু এথনিক মাইনরিটিরা বেশি এফেক্টেড হচ্ছে। এইটা আমরা এটা যারা পলিটিশিয়ান আছে বড় বড় ইম্পর্টেন্ট পোস্টে বিভিন্ন রাজনৈতিক দলে, ডু ইউ থিঙ্ক দে অ্যাকচুয়ালি এফিশিয়েন্টলি দে রিপ্রেজেন্ট আওয়ার কনসার্ন? আপনি কি মনে করেন? অ্যান্ড ইফ দে ডু নট ডু সো, what would be your recommendation?
Well, what I can see, because of this Black Lives Matter movement, over the last 3 to 4 months, the whole issue has come into light, you see, for black people. And when we talk about black people, you see, we just think about it's just African black people. It's not. It's what, to me, it also includes us as well, our rights, you see, and many things that we can do in our community. So in terms of Black Lives Matter, it includes us as well, you see, the Asians, the Muslim community as well, because the black community is not just Christians, not just atheists. You see, black community includes Muslim community as well, you see, because a big chunk of the black community are Muslims, you see. Therefore, when we talk about Black Lives Matter and Black History Month, you see, it is not something just isolated from the rest of the community, from the Asian people. It is part and parcel of the whole thing. It is integrated into the whole thing. So when we talk about the rights and responsibilities of the black community and big institutions, what I strongly believe is that we, wherever we are, whatever position that we hold, we need to understand the context, and if we see any discrimination going on, if we see that there are some issues, you see, any article or any officer or any organization are doing anything against me or against my community because of who we are, because of our color, because of our faith, or because of our background, then we need to do something about it. We should not just sit down and suffer in silence. We must do something to get justice, to get fairness. Remember, we live in a country where justice is there, where, you know, the democracy, very, very democratic processes are there as well. So we need to know how we can challenge those issues, and challenge those issues in the right way, not in the wrong way. So what I would say, as a citizen, as a politician, as an artist, as a journalist, as an academic person, we need to play our part so that we can safeguard our life in this current context, as well as safeguard the future of our next generations as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We have Reverend Kenneth Mebai at this segment. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we are discussing about Black History Month, social justice in 21st century Britain. What is the importance of social justice in any society?
The importance of the social justice in any society, I'll begin to say, theology has taught us much about the social justice and the right of a human, and the neighborhood, the family, very, very important. We cannot do without them. These are the people that makes up the community. And as we are the communities, we have responsibilities. These responsibilities we always carry along with us wherever we go. And we know that it is important to build the community with the right of our thought. We always go with the understanding of self-belief. We have different culture in the community, and this different culture in the community, to bring them together, it is not that easy, but the government is doing a lot to bring us together through training, educations, and work.
We discuss about the important role the government and other important institutions should play.
Yes.
Particularly from your background,
Yes.
what the religious organization should do in terms of bringing the communities together, so that the ethnic minorities, they can ensure social justice, they can raise their concern,
Yeah.
not just only for Muslim or Christian community, but for all communities. What sort of role the religious institution can play? Churches or mosque or synagogue, what sort of role they can play?
The roles they can play has always been the usual roles, like the church going to attending to the church. We invite people to come to the churches, and we invite people to come to prayer. We have prayer groups, we have prayer meetings from Monday to Sunday. There are programs according to timing, and we actually encourage every family. Each and every family we encourage to come together. Wherever they are, we try to touch them. Either through TV, we have TV programs as well that also may give the people the right understanding of what we do in the community and what help the Christian community should have. It is right and just that we should understand what it means by coming together, building one unity. The unity in the community is very, very important. Reason that you can't do it alone. You need the family. You need everyone. The family, the children, and everyone. The husband, the wife. You need everyone to come in to join to make sure that we achieve the goals. And the goals is unity. To keep the children off the street, like what we do, giving them apprenticeships, works, and all the rest of other things. We keep the children off the street. We employ them, no matter the qualification they have, to make sure that we can encourage them. Yeah,
so that they can learn, they can try, and also the same time they can keep themselves away from all sort of antisocial behavior.
That's it.
Well, this month is Black History Month, as you know. Not just in UK, all across the world we celebrate. You know, we cherish, we celebrate, we appreciate the contribution of ethnic minority. How Britain is doing in terms of social justice? What do you think of it?
I would say Britain is doing well. Doing well in the sense of training and education.
But if those numbers, let's say for example, education trainings are provided to everyone, but if those certain numbers from ethnic minority, if doesn't translate it into job opportunity, that can create more inequality in the society. Is the government doing enough to tackle those inequality that is created after training, after education?
Yes, they are doing enough, because we who are the leaders have to raise alarm where there is loopholes, where there is social injustice. We'll make sure that they understand the point and at which point we are, and at which level we are, to move on. So, and the government hears our voice, and they support us through means of funding and all the rest of other ways that they could, sending us special professionals that could aid or help us to guide each support, and families get this support as well. So we pass it all across to the community and to the families.
Right. In terms of teaching,
teaching
of Black History Month, Mr. Abdul Haq Habib, he spoke about Black Lives Matters campaign. We have seen whenever we, not just during US presidential election or during any major democratic event in the West, but too often we see whenever we switch on media, we see social injustice, we see police brutality, we see racism, we see institutional racism. We know that the government and other law enforcement agencies, other relevant organizations, they are trying to tackle those problems. However, things are still not in order. Much more progress needs to be done. So what are the teachings of Black History Month? Not just celebrating one particular month, but how we can spread the teaching throughout the year so that we as a community can thrive and progress together.
I'll say something. which is very, very important. There is one thought we should know. Building a community or building a nation doesn't just stop there with the help we are getting. And another thing is we should not relent our effort. We don't just have to stop there. We will continue to build. As we are building from day to day, time to time, hour to hour, minute to minute, we are making changes and making differences into each one of the families or any of the students or the students that are not unqualified. We're bringing them back to life through teaching. Yeah, and the government cannot do it all. This is why we are there as leaders. So we will help the government to build this community through our training and qualifications we have, and we are raising also voices that the family should hear and also join these campaigns.
No, absolutely. But you mentioned, very vividly, you mentioned about the role of the leaders.
Yes.
We know community leaders, they are trying together as a conscious member of the civil society.
Yeah.
The political leaders, are they doing enough to to not just appreciating or acknowledging the problem, but also at the same time to do something efficient so that those problems can be resolved? We have seen during coronavirus pandemic how ethnic minorities, how they are suffering, not just in terms of mortality or fatality rate, but in terms of business wise as a community. So where are those justice? Are the political leaders, they are doing enough to tackle all those challenges or underlying problems that ethnic minority faces?
I will, to answer your question, I will say not to 100%, because the problem is very wide, it's broad. Pandemic has shown us what could happen the next. And knowing what pandemic brought is to humble everyone, humbling the government, humbling the community, humbling the leaders to hear the voice of God and to know that things cannot be exactly the way they want it. There must be a change. This change comes when things are happening. The pandemic has brought a very great change into the life of the society, into the life of the community, into the life of the families, and now we are all we have learned our lessons, and we hope to build. In rebuilding this pandemic, it's going to be all hands on deck. The politicians on their own way, they come with their ideas, apply it, and if they apply it, we take it. We, the leaders, take it along with us. There must always be support of finance. Never to forget that. In each idea, without finance, it is not going to function. The politician doesn't think an idea parallel running with a finance to work together. Sometimes they just come up with an idea and they say, yeah, do it.
Thank you.
How can you do it?
Thank you. You need funding.
You need to finance.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Every idea.
Thank you. In terms of history, in terms of knowing and appreciating history, there is a growing concern and there is a growing demand that the history, particularly the the impact, the positive contribution of the ethnic minority, it should be reflected through proper educational curriculum. What is the importance of that?
The importance of educational curriculum is this a battlefield, I will call it, reason that we have students who want to learn, and we have students who will say yes. They come up with interest, but they don't want to learn. So you see, this negative and positive part of it, we have to always bring it together and work it out. When we request for positive, it gives more yeah, it is a plus. But when you say negative, it's a minus.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is taking something
So how
out.
you balance things?
So you have to balance them when
Thank
you
you.
bring them together and
Thank you.
go along with the social justice,
Thank you.
not injustice, for the community to realize the life the government is spending, the time the government is spending in the nation to build the nation, to build the community. We all have to rise.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Habib bhai, we are at the very end of our time. What is your final remark?
Final remark is basically pandemic has come. We are all suffering, and I'm sure, inshallah, pandemic will go as well. We are very, very hopeful. But racism has come, had come long time ago. It has not gone, and it will not go in the future as well. That's for sure. What we can do, we can learn our history, we can prepare ourselves, empower ourselves through education, knowledge, through businesses, and many different other ways. We can farm our positions, and we can prepare ourselves for the future.
Thank you.
So that together as a community, black, white, Asian, everybody, we can live in this country, in this world, as human being equally with our rights in its own places.
Thank you. Thank you
so
very much.
what I can say is that being hopeful and try your best
Thank you.
to do whatever you can to prepare yourself so that we can help each other
Thank you.
to form a peaceful world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both of you. সুপ্রিয় দর্শক, আজকে লাইফ ইন ব্রিটেন অনুষ্ঠানে আমরা কথা বলছিলাম সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস, ব্ল্যাক হিস্ট্রি মান্থ, সোশ্যাল জাস্টিস ইন 21st সেঞ্চুরি ব্রিটেন। আপনারা যে যেখানে থাকুন ভালো থাকুন, লুক আফটার ইউরসেলফ অ্যান্ড অলওয়েজ ট্রাই টু রেজ ইউর কনসার্ন থ্রু এফেক্টিভ ক্যাম্পেইন। আপনার নিজের রাইট যদি আপনি নিজে বুঝে না নেন তাহলে কিন্তু কেউ আপনাকে হেল্প করতে আসবে না। ইউ নিড টু হেল্প ইউরসেলফ ইন অর্ডার টু রেজ ইউর কনসার্ন। আপনারা ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন। থ্যাংক ইউ অ্যান্ড টেক কেয়ার।